Okay, test. All right, we're going to get rolling. Thank you all for being here. And we do have people watching online who could not be here today, but they're going to be watching online. So thank you. And just for you, anybody, we're going to have this on our YouTube channel. So at any time anybody wants to go back, reflect on it or whatever, you sure can, or tell somebody, hey, I missed the meeting, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be there, so it'll be on our YouTube channel, and you can get that information. Really today is simply just about communicating, kind of giving you a little bit of information and appreciating those of you that are a part of SouthGate Church. Couple things I wanted to share with you today as it pertains to us as a church. You know, the last couple of years because of COVID has been really interesting. It's just been a very, very interesting time for all of us. One of the challenges that we have faced is the not knowing what is going to happen next month or the month after. So our plans, we'll plan something shifts, and we've had to learn to just be flexible and not get all whacked out when something doesn't work the way that we're thinking it was going to work, because of just understanding the nature of the world in which we're living. But the cool thing is, just to give you kind of some updates, over the last couple of years when we were going to just online services, we did that for a number of months because of what was going on. Many of you experienced that, realizing that we had to do that. We've had, our consistently meeting together as a church, which we have done in the midst of all of the stuff going on, and we thank God that through all of the last couple of years, we've only had one loss in our church from COVID, which was obviously a very terrible experience for us as a church family. But in the midst of all of that, all of us getting together, all the things that we have done through the years, it has been very, very positive. We've experienced a lot of good out of this, and the challenge is right now is just getting people that were a part of SouthGate to once again recommit themselves to being a part of SouthGate. So it's I have found it as a pastor kind of interesting trying to navigate through all of this stuff and keep in contact with people who were here and now are not here and have just basically disappeared. As much as we want to keep in contact with them and love on the people and be there and be responsible as a pastor. And it's funny because it's almost like sometimes people have allowed COVID to be the excuse. Oh, now I don't have to come, or whatever it is. And I hate to say that, but, I think it's interesting just all that we've experienced through this as pastors and leaders here at SouthGate. And I just want to thank especially those of you that have been here and navigated yourself through all of this with us and continued to stay faithful in being a part of that. One of the hardest things for us has been to continue to carry out our discipleship process. Our goal that we have had of obviously to love God, connect with others, and serve the world. One of our biggest areas has been connecting, has been our small group ministry. Our small group ministry over the last couple of years because of COVID basically just became non-existent, which was pretty much what a lot of churches who built a lot on small group ministry, which is what we do. Our church is not just a church that does small groups. Our church is a small group church. That's how we build relationships. That is part of what we do. And the realization is that people grow more group setting than they do in the larger one. Inspiration happens in the larger settings in our Sunday services. That's inspirational things happen in that. But transformation happens in a small group. That's where transformation happens in a person's life. So we are going to this year really begin to push in that direction a lot more now that we have in the past because we have been hindered by it. So, my challenge is for people that have a house that's enabled, that house that can host people. It would be great to get people to step up and help us do that. That's one of the biggest challenges that we face is trying to get people to open their homes, and I get it. because we understand the reality of COVID that's out there. Some people, have asked me, what do I really think about it? And I'm not going to tell you what I really think about it, because in reality, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's been a challenge. It's been a challenge what's true and what is not true. What I found is funny is that people now have been able to read a couple of articles and now they're scientists. They're an authority on masks and they're an authority now on COVID. They become virologists after they read 3 articles and saw an Instagram post. You know what I'm saying? So right now, as we just, my heart is just like, what, I'm not going to be on YouTube for that. Nobody's going to use my Sunday morning service, put it on YouTube and look at what this pastor said. No, that's not going to be me. So in other words, we've just kind of stayed out of that and trusted in people's decisions. If they want to get vaccinated or they don't, that's their call. That's their call. I'll support whatever decision a person wants, and we're there to support you and love you through all of it. We got to live in this world. You got to pick your fights, so to speak. And so we've just taken an approach to love people, and it doesn't mean we don't have opinions and stuff. We pick our fights. We, what is going to be real and against the Word of God, that's doctrinal, we're going to hit it. We're not going for it. But so just so you know, our heart has been in all of this to do that. So over the next year or so, and we're implementing more leadership training, because our leadership training basically just froze when all this happened. Couldn't develop any more leaders, couldn't, teach any of those things. It kind of all just went in a freeze mode. And so we're gradually re-implementing some of those things back in the church for all of us to get back involved with it. We did one of the things is we're doing is more outreaches this year that we had not been able to do in a number of years. And in the past, we have focused more on supporting our missions organizations, which has been good. The Phoenix Rescue, the Changing Life Center that we've been involved with. Those of you know, we've done a lot of events up there. Well, because of COVID, that shut that down. So we were unable to do some of our events. We finally were able to get back involved in Rio Vista, some of the outreach there. But now what we want to do is, none of those have really directly influenced our connection to the community as a church. So our first one that we did, which really was super good, was the Fall Festival. Those of you that are involved in the Fall Festival, we had just a tremendous attendance to our Fall Festival without really a huge amount of advertising, marketing. It was all pretty much in-house, and flyers and neighborhoods and doing some stuff like that. And so that gave us a good measurement for the first time of where to park people's cars, and we parked a bunch of people next door. But it was super fun. So we're going to be doing that. Easter is going to be a big festival again. So we're going to do another one Palm Sunday. So get ready for that. Palm Sunday is going to be not just an Easter egg hunt. It is going to be an outreach to invite families, picnic, all kinds of fun stuff is going to go on that day to reach out to the community, because one of the things we realize is that a lot of people at Easter will always do something the Saturday before or on Easter Sunday. And we've realized that Palm Sunday is a Sunday where people are not out doing all that stuff, and it's a great opportunity for us to invite people from the community and get them to come back for a Sunday traditional service on Easter Sunday. So we're going to be pushing more of those events as they come along, because one of the things that we realize, and this is important for all of us to be praying, is that, through the years when I first started here, people that attended this church were all my age. Were a lot of my age. They were in their 30s or younger. And now they still are my age. Okay, so it's just funny. So, after 30-something years of ministry, and all of us that started here, a bunch of young families, all of us starting out together, doing ministry together. I think we had maybe a couple of people in the church at that time that were in their 70s, and that was it. It was predominantly made up of late 20s, 30s, and 40s. And then now we're dealing with the opposite. We're dealing with the opposite. Doesn't mean we don't have younger families coming. Obviously, we do. And involved in our children's church, many people here that are connected to that. But that's one of the areas that we're really pushing. And the reason is because in the reality of the way things operate is we can't operate in the future without a financial base. We can't. Nothing operates in our world. You can't operate in your house. Thank God. God has been very faithful to us over the last couple of years with all the influx of jobs. We haven't missed a lick, which is just amazing in all of it. And thank God for people who continue to be committed to that. We have a good foundation of older saints who have been committed to financially be a part of this church for many years. And that has substantially been able to help us continue to do what we do. But you realize people retire, people's income changes, things happen. And so we're praying and just believing God for the future over the next 4 or 5 years that we have the same type committed pillars of the church that we have that are in this room. Some of those folks that are here continuing to be a big supply to what we do here. And it's important because they get older. They get older, their ability to go out and do that, because I believe in a principle. And this is the principle that I believe in, and I believe is very biblical, that God raises up kings. He raises up kings in the body of Christ, and their job is not to give vision, but their job is to provide provision. Amen. God gives the priests and the prophets the vision of what is going to happen then and in the future, but it's not their job to supply it. The kings, God raises up people who have that gift to be able to get resources, to be able to supply that. That's a huge part of what they do, and we have those here. We have people that God has used in that kingly way to be able to provide what we have been able to accomplish here because of them. And the cool thing is what we have experienced here, because honestly, other pastors have specifically asked me, how do you guys do what you do? How have you been able to do what you do with having a couple hundred families that are committed to the church? And 95% of all these families, these are not millionaires. These are average income people working jobs and being committed to do what they do. And we've been able to do what we have. And I'll tell you why. Because God has supplied us, because to me of our faithfulness, and because of our consistency to continue to give into our community, out of our resources, God has seen it, and God said, I love that. So, well, maybe you don't have all the people you need, but I know people that will give you some money. I know people that will help support what you're doing. And God has brought resources in from outside of this place to help us accomplish our goals. And that's fantastic. That's just been humbling to watch God do that. You know, we haven't changed our vision even if we didn't have the money. We never stopped believing God for our gymnasium and our classroom buildings and some of the other stuff. So there's just a lot of things that I appreciate you being here and understanding. You know, you're in a great place. I'm just telling you, we've been here for a long time. And, you know, my kids kid with me all the time. When I moved to Arizona, I knew no one. And now my kids tell me I know everyone. Well, once you're in one place for 35 years, you start knowing people. And there's an advantage to that. There's an advantage to getting to know people and being connected to people, because, you know, it's a positive. If you have good character, then it becomes a positive to the community. Your church has a good name. But if you're terrible, you know, and you're a whatever typical pastor or whatever it is, then you don't have a good name. But we've worked hard to do that, to maintain a good name, and I believe that God, this is just the beginning of what God is going to do through this church, to this community in the long run. Our goal is to build this church for 50 years from now. Not for just me, not for just you. So the principles have to be sound in order to do that, and that's one of the things we've worked on. So just to give you kind of a glance of what some of the things that we have worked on this year, and God has provided in a great way, and we're continuing to do that, is one of those things is we've built out our kitchen. You've noticed we shifted that thing. That had been the same for like 30-something years, and we finally are working on getting that done. And you know how God, like I said, God provided for that too with Charles over here, his company, saying, oh yeah, we'll get behind you and we'll come in there and paint. Ron Troth and some of the people that have gotten involved here, just getting the cabinets and donating the cabinets and the work, and it's just been super fantastic. So we're building that out. We're also going to change up that entryway right there in that building. It's going to become a hospitality room. So what that means is where the kitchen is right now. When you walk in, the wall to the left is coming down. That's going to be opened up into a big area right there so people can hang out, and then have a door that goes down to the hallway so we can close that off to our children's churches and make it more secure in the future. It's been a big goal for us, is to keep adults out of that building in that back area, except for our children's church volunteers that are back in there. That's insurance purposes. That's by recommendations of our security and safety team people, just because of the day we live in. It's important to do that, so that's what we're continuing to try to improve on that. So the hospitality room is going to be done. We're continuing to make improvements in here. So the video wall, that thing up there was $16,000, which is nuts when you think about it, but it's awesome. It's been able to help us improve what we do with our outreach, our dance stuff that you saw this year when we did our big dance performance here with our dance group. The visuals that they used there was just tremendous. So it's been fun to be able to, we still have more changes we're doing in the building here, into the entryway, and then one big improvement we need that we're going to be making is building new bathrooms out here. So where you see the old building right there in front, as soon as you walk out the patio and that building right there that we use right now for storage, that used to be, we used it in the school for the snack bar. Well, that's going to be torn down, and we're building bathrooms right there for just Sunday morning. So, but that's like $30,000. So, 50. Okay. Well, I'm always a little more positive. Naive maybe, but I say, no, it may cost us that, but God will pay the rest, It'll work out. But anyway, that's one of the goals we have, to get that accomplished this year, because when we do that, that enables us to keep any adults out of that E-building for children's church, and all the bathrooms will be here, so we can close that building down during children's church, and nobody has to go over there to use restrooms. It'll only be the kids. So that'll be super good. But that's just not cheap. That's one of the projects we're working on to do. And so let me think, what else? We've re-roofed everything. The first time in 30-something years. All of them have been done now, so all of our roofs are redone. That was 70, 80 grand, something like that total between all of them, which is actually a really good deal for these, and they're all guaranteed for many, many years to come. We redid the floor in here. We didn't realize we had termites, which you live in Arizona, we got termites under the building, so which we knew that we've treated buildings for years out here, just part of the gig. But we got under here, and when we got under here inspecting for termites, we found out, oh, what's holding this building up? So those of you who don't know, this is a prefab. These are prefab buildings that were portable, and they brought here, and we built them up on here. 1 2-story building, that's a solid constructed building, but this is on platforms, which you don't know that. But it was on these metal platforms, towers they're called, and those were all rusted out. A bunch of them were all rusted out, and Donnie climbed under there and went, well, we need to do something about this. So all those are replaced now. That was another cost that we didn't know was going to need to be done. But now I can stand up here and we can all jump around. The building's not going anywhere. And it won't for many, many years now. So we laughed because we thought we had a couple of angels on the ends and one in the middle holding it up for all these years. And when we got in there and replaced him, he was like, oh, thank God I can do something else. I've been here for 10 years, man. This has been a real drag. This is my job, he said. Only on Sundays I come and sit under here and hold the building up. So now he's free, though. He's out really happy now doing something else. But he's holding somebody else up now. So anyway, that's kind of some of the things that we're going to be doing. We'll keep you in the loop on that as time progresses, and make sure everybody knows what's going on. And I think any way that you guys can contribute to help, maybe your job has connections to people that doesn't. That was super cool what happened with Charles. His company got involved in helping us getting that kitchen redone. And so we just always know God has a way of connecting people and getting stuff and helping us do what we do. So thank you. But you what? Oh yeah, by the way, our sign is finally going to get done this next couple of weeks. I never realized it. I mean, it's like, no wonder. That's glad that Noah didn't build the ark in our day. You think it took him a while? It would have taken him 500 years. Yes. Oh, yeah. And those of you know, Donnie has been big time involved in helping us build out our children's churches, and he did the design work. And a lot of those with some other folks involved. Our big children's church, he built all of that. That happened during COVID, which was super cool. And then our 3 to 5-year-old class is all built out with an underwater thing that he designed and built so much of that stuff. And so we appreciate him. So thank you for that. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at with things going on, and we'll keep you in the loop of just some of the other stuff that's coming up and all of that. But Claire's going to come and share about the budget, give you guys an idea of what's going on with that. There you go.
Thank you so much. So first of all, I just want to remind you, last year I told you during the State of the Church address about something called the PPP loan, which is the Payroll Protection Program. And we were able to apply for that as a church when COVID hit, because we have a school and we've got about 25 employees between the church and the school. And as long as we were continuing to pay our people, which of course we were continuing to do, we were eligible for that. So what that allowed us to do was for parents who, we had to lower tuition a little bit because we were doing things online. We were doing church online. We had no idea how income would be. So thankfully, we have really faithful families in the school and here at church. And so we were able to set some money aside that we had received from the PPP loan, money from our regular budget, not what we were using to pay our people and so forth, to set that aside. Anybody who works here knows that I am, well, they would probably call me tight. I prefer frugal. I prefer being a good steward of the funds. And while we were building the building, every time they asked for a penny for anything, I'm like, nope, everything we have is going into that building, and that is going to get finished. So I got kind of a reputation. But anyway, praise the Lord. So if you look at the bottom line, even across the proposed budgets, you can see that when we propose income, we go very general. We are very conservative in our proposed numbers for the tithes and offerings. We know for sure that the school gives us, $21,600 for utilities every year, and so we propose very small numbers because we don't want to over. So usually at the bottom, when you're looking at proposed numbers, we're always looking at some deficits because we're hoping to bring in money, but we want to go ahead and try to budget for all the areas of ministry and the things that we want to do. So don't let that frighten you, because as you can see, the actual number for 2021 ended up about 17,000 over, and I'll go over some of those numbers with you just so you understand them. So our actual numbers, we had budgeted 450,000 in tithes and offerings and brought in 467 some in tithes and offerings. And then some of the extra things that we had that's really been a blessing, you can see the mortgage principal. Last year during this time, I was explaining we do have a mortgage. Our mortgage that we got originally was about $1.8 million. That building is about $2.3 million, and we had a mortgage of $1.8 million. We have no other mortgage on anything else in this, on the whole campus. And anyway, I said, hey, if anybody wants to give extra, I would like to see in my lifetime that be completely paid off. So we had $27,490 come in to help pay off our mortgage. So you can see that went out directly onto our principal, which is beautiful. I think now we're at $1.6 million or something like that we still owe. So anybody who feels led to do that, that's awesome. When you win the lottery, let us know. All right. Also, I want to point out the Scott Randy Memorial Fund, that $13,400 some came in for that. We are setting that aside to add a scoreboard and lights onto our soccer field, but it's a lot more costly than we thought. What was our pricing? $180,000 to $200,000 to do soccer lights out there. It's very expensive, way more than any of us ever dreamed. So thank you, Lord, that you're going to provide that somehow. But this is seed money. God always starts with seed money. That's how we do it. God gives us seed to sow. So when we sow our seed money, God's the one who is in charge of multiplying it, not us. Every single time. We had no money to build that building. That was all God. All God. We just did our part. He doesn't expect us to do any more than our part. So this is seed money. Thank you, Lord, that we will get those lights up. Also, Jackie passed away. Etha passed away. We did receive some money on their behalf for a memorial. We want to use some of that money for a new hospitality area, since that was in their hearts to do. So that's sitting there waiting. You can see where it says moved money from church savings and school savings. So those were the funds that came because of the PPP loan. So just so you know, we're not sitting on a bucket load of money. We wish, but I also try to squeeze money in there any chance I get. Okay, church salaries. We employ Pastor John, Pastor Andrew, Mario's part-time, Sharon's part-time, and Tina's part-time. So that's our church staff. And then our health insurance. How many of you had your health insurance go up? Nobody else had health insurance go up? Costs went crazy this year. We were in a consortium for a while. It was a school and church consortium. We'd done that for the last 4 years. And costs went up so much that the major school that was in that consortium kind of holding us up pulled out. When they pulled out, the consortium collapsed. So I had, what did we have, like a month, 60 days to secure new coverage for everyone, but God did it. But yeah, it's extra. You would see what we pay for work comp insurance, building insurance. Our building insurance is nothing to sneeze at, $22,000 to insure all of these properties for liability and all the structures. You can see the utilities that we pay. That new children's church 3 to 5 year old classroom, that $77.56 is what that ended up costing. Our mortgage and for principal and interest is the same every year, about $150,000. Landscaping, equipment, maintenance, repairs. Pastor John has a nice mower. He also was climbing up these ridiculously tall ladders to try to cut branches off trees. So we got, what's that extended pole thing? A pole saw, yeah. So there's things, he has those backpack blowers. He has some miracle equipment that has lasted forever, but every now and then something dies. Soccer field maintenance, we did get the new sprinkler system. Praise the Lord. So Pastor John's not hauling around hoses and hand watering a lot of that area. So the school was able to pay for that. We do need, you'll see on the bottom line there, we still need a drip system for trees and bushes in the back. We don't have a drip system, so we still need to do that. Right. The next page, you can read through all of those. Pastor Andrew kind of went through them. We replaced all the roofs on 4 buildings. That was $60,000. We paid for fencing repairs. I don't know if you guys know this, but we had a couple times our fence knocked down, something stolen, driven through our fence, and anyways, we've had to make some repairs. Some of our fencing out here and the handrails were really bad, falling apart, so we made some nice repairs to those. The backflow system is what sits out close to baseline. It was bad. It was falling apart, so we had to replace that. We sealed our parking lot. Yay, it's so much better. All those pylons under the sanctuary that Donnie had to crawl under there and replace. Treating the termites underneath the sanctuary, fixing our light board in the sound booth there. We got security alarms now on the youth building and the hack building. You won't see the hack building cost for the security alarm on this budget because the school paid for that, but that was about $10,000. So everything is now fully secured and alarmed. Yay! All right, just different things. So the lift to that building over there, it broke down during COVID, non-use. We had to get that repaired, so that's on here too. Pastor Andrew already talked about the video wall and some of the new lighting that we're doing up here. And then a lot of the other things that you see on there, you see the outreach. We did go to Changing Lives Center for Easter, but they only allowed, 5 people? And so it was very small, but there was still some costs associated. The Fall Festival cost $12.95, but we got in almost $2,000 to help cover the cost of lighting up that backfield and everything. So the net was only $1,500, but we are trying to budget more next year. All right. Anything else to point out down there? So towards the bottom, you see where we are putting in the new standalone bathrooms. I tried to bold all those things that we want to do next year. So under the hospitality and kitchen remodel, all that we have left to do on that is granite tops and installing the flooring. And then we need to do finish updating the stage and the lobby. I have $4,000 for that. Don't know if it'll cover it, but we're we're just guessing here some of this ways. $15,000 for fixing this building. The stucco needs repair and it needs to be repainted. We did the E building a few years back, and they did a beautiful job on that. This one needs that done. And then towards the bottom, the standalone bathrooms. So that's on the last page. When you get back here, so you can see we have a negative $99,000 budget, but because $71,000 of that is projects we hope to be able to do. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you. And I just wanted to let you know, anybody has any questions about any of that, you can always go talk to Claire. Just understand, nothing here, we don't try to keep any secrets. It's yours. This is your family, your church. We don't keep secrets. So we do our best to make sure that we're accountable for everything. So one of the things you might not know, the school is a unique area of ministry here. So what I mean by that is the school has its own budget, has its own income, has its own pay, pays in everything and out. The church board, which is made up of folks just like you, that sit on our church board, and they are the ones who establish the income, set the budget, approve the budget, and they're accountable. They watch over the school budget also, but it's two separate. Claire runs both of them because it's so integral of what we do here. So she is the treasurer of the school budget and the entire ministry budget. So the school has to fund itself, just so you understand. The school funds itself. The church does not pay, because the school budget is $1 million. So what it costs to pay teachers and all of that rolls in and out of there, it's basically a revolving door. It is literally a revolving door. So during the last couple of years of COVID, what was really awesome about that PPO loan was that it really enabled us to help families. Families that were going through challenges, who couldn't pay tuition or do those things, that enabled us to be able to help them. And really that was our goal. Church-wise, we knew God was going to take care of all of that, but the school was a big concern because we didn't want families to be hindered with their kids' education and all of that. So God was good with that, enabling us to do that. So the school, the cool thing with the school budget is the school, because they basically rent, even though they're a part of the ministry, they have to pay electricity because 5 days a week they're in all these buildings. So they're the highest use of electrical. So they pay the most of the electrical bill. A lot of what? Cleaning, they pay for cleaning because most of all the buildings are needing clean because of that. They've chipped in many times the budget. We've set the budget of the school to make it available to pay for some maintenance. So like the backfield or whatever it is, the soccer, because that's used for the school. So, okay, who's paying for it? That's coming out of that budget. So that helps Pastor John's salary also, because that pitches in money for him to be able to take care of that. And then the school is paid for out of that budgeted area. A lot of air conditioning, different repairs, different stuff have been covered out of that. So it is part of the whole budget, but it's individual. It comes in and out. We don't take money from the school and vice versa. It's got to be self-sustaining, because that's the best way to do it. That's the most financial, prudent and smart way to do it. And Claire does an awesome job. You know, it's true. People think she's tight, but she is frugal. So I always tell people, they go, oh yeah, we're thinking about this. I go, I'm not talking to Claire. You go talk to Claire about that. Nope, not get into that one. And so I don't mess with money. Just so everybody knows, I don't mess with the money because obvious reasons. I don't want anybody questioning that there's something I'm doing that's manipulating and using this and that. I don't. Yeah, I'm a board member and I approve stuff, but I don't mess with the money. I do have a stamp. I can sign checks, but 2 signatures have to be on the checks. So there has to be. Yeah, it didn't happen. Yeah. Yeah, so we try to do our best to be as frugal as we possibly can with everything. So if anybody has any questions about any stuff, please, yes.
Pastor, I run a small business too, so I know what you're doing. I'm very proud of how you handle the whole thing. Everything.
Thank you.
I want everybody to know we're so proud of you guys. I'm so happy my grandkids hear that, my great-grandkids started coming to me. I'm so proud of the church here. I'm so proud of being a part of this pastor. And you know that I'm going to try to make you understand it. Whenever we need something
Yeah.
from your point of view. Pastor John's done a great job. Claire's done a super great job. I've been thinking for many years of maybe hire her away from her. But I better not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, congratulations to you, Pastor. and
Thank you.
Pastor John. The whole board is doing a great job, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we have tried our best. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a bummer, watching some of the churches that I have been affiliated with that have closed, and just some challenges that people went through, and I get it. It's just been a tough time for a lot of pastors, and we were able to do what we do because we just have such a great support structure from all of you and leaders here, and supporting each other through all of this has been awesome. So thank you. Yes.
Well, I just want to say something too, because I, for one, love to tease Claire, because I'm usually the one that has to come with the hat in the hand and say, we spent this, or we're going to spend this. But I saw her during COVID, and just because she was so organized and because she was so meticulous with what they needed, she knew exactly where it was, what drawer it was in, what file folder it was in. She knew, so when that paperwork was due, it was due ahead of time, it was turned in early. It wasn't, oh, I can't find this, I don't know where this is, we got to find this. Because the church I came from in California, my uncle's a deacon there, and he's calling me, what are you guys doing? How are you guys handling this? I'm like, I can tell you right now, it's by the grace of God and by Claire Charles.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
her attention to
Yeah,
detail,
absolutely.
organization. And this is me kissing up because I really want to raise.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't blame you.
yeah. Yeah, and the cool thing is, too, is that we found some really great favor with a privately owned bank out in Mesa called Gateway. Just have a great relationship with them, and the president of the bank comes out here, and we go to lunch, and it's just nice to be able to have a relationship with a banker. And plus he sits on the board. He's one of the guys that makes the decisions who gets money and who doesn't. So on their board, the board of the bank, and so for us to be able to go there and say, hey, we need this much money, well, let's talk about it, and they were real quick, just immediately to go, oh yeah, we'll be glad to help you guys with that, and Just super. I mean, he's a Christian man and loves God and understands the ministry, understands the church and how it operates, and he understands the variable of attendance and all of that and how that operates. And so you just got to know that's huge to have that kind of favor with a bank that just works with us, and it's just super cool. He's coming out this week to come out and just hang out and check on everything, and just he's excited to be a part of something like this. And he's really happy as a banker and a God man to be a part of that. So thank you all very much. We're done. Go home, go eat some lunch, and go watch the game. And I don't know, who's rooting for who?
The Rams. Woohoo!
Oh, I want to make sure they lose then. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yes, go Cardinals. Oh, shoot. That's next year.
Baseball. Go Cardinals.
Next year. Yeah. God bless you. Thank you all.